Welcome back, everyone, to the program. Let's get back to the discussion. Nigeria's June inflation report early today, released by the Bureau of Statistics, shows a climb to 16.5%. That's about 1% to the north. Bismarck Rawani is the Chief Executive Officer at Financial Derivatives Company, an investment and research firm sitting here in Lagos. He's joining me live now via Skype to discuss this a little bit further. A few minutes. Lunchtime. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Rawani.
Good afternoon.
We appreciate this very much. I'm not sure you're surprised with this latest reading.
Actually, I'm surprised because our expectation and the consensus opinion was that inflation would be flat or marginal decline in June, but surprise, 0.9% up. But the good news is that the 0.9% change is much lower than the 1.6% change we had the previous month. And so when you talk about the rate of change, we are beginning to see a slowdown in this. It had peaked in May, in February to 1.8 and then came down to 0.9, then went down, and now it's back up and down again to 0.9. So what do we expect next month? We expect a slowing down of this in July. But let us understand what happened. What happened was that the foreign exchange policy change took place on June 20. The settlement date was June 22nd. So if you take the whole of June, only 7 or 8 days was affected by the foreign exchange policy. What you had was, in the month of May, we had the petrol subsidy removal, and we have seen actually the national price of petrol has come down to 1.8 naira per liter across the country. The exchange rate impact and of the new policy will not be felt until about the middle of July. So the July data is going to show the effect of this liberalization of the foreign exchange policy and more liquidity in the foreign exchange market.
Mr. Rawani, the usual culprits for inflation in Nigeria, food and fuel. So you've talked to the fuel side. Look at the food side. We're still importing, to some extent, honey,
yes,
chocolate, confectionery, vegetables.
The culprits for food, basically the fastest moving products, with the ones with the highest rate of change, were fish, meat, bread, cereals, and fruits. So what you're seeing now is the fact that bread, because of the price of flour, had gone up to 9,500 naira a bag. For meat, it's protein, and of course, it's pretty inelastic. And for the fruits, it was out of season. So harvest and seasonal reasons. But basically, the truth is that the food items, the food basket has increased at a much slower pace than the non-food basket. The real culprits are electricity, transport fares, diesel, kerosene, and those things were all affected because people shifted from importing diesel and moved back to PMS. And so that's why you're seeing that. But all well and good. We think that in the month of July, we will begin to see some slowing down in the general rate of inflation, but we'll still sit above 16%.
Just in 1 minute, quickly, where do you see this inflation feeding into the considerations of the MPC monetary policy meeting when they meet next week?
That's a very interesting question. The inflation in Nigeria is as a result of supply shocks, not because of money supply and not because of liquidity saturation. Because of the new exchange rate policy at 292, 295 naira, you have actually mopped up enough liquidity. The overnight rates on Friday went as high as 22%, and the bond coupon rates were as high as 15%. So you are achieving the same impact of an increase in the MPR by actually taking out more money via the exchange rate mechanism. So I do not think that it will be necessary for the Central Bank of Nigeria to make any move on the interest rate on the CRR. But again, they probably have more information than you and I. But based on information before me, if I was sitting in that seat, I would, in the choice between growth and inflation, I would pick growth, and I will ignore inflation at this point in time.
Okay, we got just about 1 week to find out. Thank you very much, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, economist and chief executive officer at Financial Derivatives via Skype. Namibia. reporting its consumer inflation was flat at 6.7% year-on-year last month from the same figure in May. According to the Statistics Office, the latest inflation on a month-on-month basis, however, slowed to 0.3% from 0.5% in the previous month. Political stability and sound economic management have helped anchor economic growth and poverty reduction in Namibia. Growth has not been accompanied, however, by job creation. However, extreme economic and social inequalities inherited from apartheid persist despite generous spending on the country's social programs. Namibia is also vulnerable to short and long-term environmental shocks, as all major sources of growth depend heavily on Namibia's fragile ecosystem. Back here in Nigeria, Unilever, one of the large consumer goods companies, has posted the second quarter earnings, a positive one for the period ended June the 30th. The result, though better than it was a year ago, actually came in as a shadow of first quarter performance. Year on year, the revenue by Unilever grew by 12.2%, and a profit of 52 million naira was recorded during the period. Compared to first quarter 2016, revenue was down 7.7%, while net profit fell by 95%. Revenue over the 3 months period exceeded estimates of 14.79 billion naira, while net profit came in much lower than the 230 million naira expected by some analysts. And that's because gross margin fell significantly and points to significant cost inflation, that is, energy price hike and continued forex pass-through experienced during the second quarter of 2016. Currency is a major consideration for everyone here in Nigeria. So let's look at the FX market. On Friday, the Naira touched intraday 295.5 against the US dollar, finishing off 292.25 at the interbank spot markets. I'm being joined now by Forex dealer at Rand Merchant Bank, Tosin Dukoya. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming through on the phone.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes, good to have you. We are still in the intraday. Talk to us. We're heading towards 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What's the Naira behavior as we speak?
Unfortunately, it's been a very quiet trading day. The dollar to the Naira is still relatively flat at 295, following a 4% increase last Friday from 282 for most parts of last week. So about 290, 295 at the close of business on Friday. We expect that in the week we should see the Naira weakening. It could possibly touch 300. 300 becomes the technical level that everybody's looking at.
Now, so what do you think is the issue here? We're still hanging around the issue of FX supply.
The FX supply is a critical issue right now. Most investors that are willing to show an offer, we are beginning to sense that they will be interested at 300 or slightly below 300. At 295, we're still seeing some trickles, but it's not significant enough. I think what is significant would be anything above 300.
So where do we go from here for the rest of the week ahead of next week monetary policy meeting? Any significant, any idea where some level of liquidity supply could come into the marketplace?
Like I said, supply could relatively come in at 300 and 300 and above. Unfortunately, it's a level that not so many people will be happy with. But for foreign investors, what would give them comfort would be anything above 300. They might also want to wait and see the outcome of the next MPC. So if the rest of the week post some level of some quiet situation, that would be on the back of waiting to see the outcome of the MPC next week.
If you're looking at today's trading day down a couple of hours, where do you see the closing figure? Last week we did 295.5 intraday, finished up around 292.25. Do you see something similar playing out today, or you think we're hanging in there, we're hanging to that 295 psychological new level till 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock when the market closes?
The market is going to close at 2 o'clock. I don't see any significant difference from where it is right now. It's at 295. I think it's going to close at 295. We just have about 10 more minutes to end of trading. 295, my guess is will be the closing of today.
Okay, that'll be all for today. Thank you very much. Tosin Oshokoya, forex trader at Rand Merchant Bank. We'll be back in 2 to look at the fixed income market.